A portion of this video is sponsored by KNF Concept with their 3-in-1 magnetic selfie stick tripod. More from them later on in this video. Yo, what is good people, Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video. This time, camera comparison. OnePlus 15 versus the iPhone 17 Pro Max versus the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We are going to be testing everything when it comes to daylight and low light for pictures and videos with these flagship cameras, so sit back, relax. Let's get into this camera comparison. Okay, let's kick things off with this definitive camera comparison between the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We are pretty much going to be running through everything when it comes to daylight, low light, so sit back, relax, let's get into it. Let's start with the daytime pictures, and we're pretty much going to be running through this to see which one of these flagship camera systems really does the job. There's bookmarks in the description below, so definitely go through the ones that you want to, but I say it's worth kicking through everything. All right, let's start with the rear camera, with the main cameras at the back, with me in the frame as the subject, starting from the widest and working our way in. So on the ultra wide, when I look at this instantly, what pleases my eye the most, I do like the iPhone 17 Pro Max for several reasons. The ultra wide field of view, I feel like the iPhone is still one of the only phones that really gives a true ultra wide field of view, whereas the others is more of like a 0.6x, whereas the iPhone is 0.5x. The color rendition of the sky, even to my skin tone, is really, really good. I think from then, I'll probably say the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Some will probably prefer the S25 Ultra over the iPhone, and then I'll say in last place is the OnePlus 15. Let's move over to the One X, and I'll say in this particular situation, the OnePlus 15 claws it back really well. I really like the look of me in the frame, my skin rendition. The Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra looks a little bit washed out, but I would say the iPhone and the OnePlus 15 are really neck and neck and on par. I would say maybe the iPhone has a bit more detail in this particular situation, but it's a great shot, and also the rendition of the sky as well. Now let's go into the 2x crop mode, and this is doing a digital process crop on the main 1x sensor, and I'll definitely say things are looking really good on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but I'll say like the darker tonality of the image and the more accurate color rendition is probably better represented on the OnePlus 15. But again, it does crush the blacks around my beard where there's less definition there. So taking consideration, again, I feel like the processing on the Samsung could be a bit better. There could be a bit more contrast in terms of the style of the image that I would prefer, but the detail around my facial hair is really good on the Samsung, so gotta give it a bit of credit there. Now let's move into the zoom modes, and now we are in the 3x crop mode and 3x zoom mode. This should optically be favoring the Galaxy S25 Ultra because it does have that mid-range 3x zoom at 10 megapixels. Again, with the S26 Ultra around the corner, supposedly, I really hope they make this one high resolution or just get rid of it altogether, compartmentalize it and make it a 4x. But again, I digress. This is what we have right now. And again, the processing on the Samsung does feel a little bit washed out, but it is the one with the better detail out of all of them. But the others are processing well. I do like the balanced look of the OnePlus 15, then followed by the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But again, others would probably say the iPhone 17 Pro Max, OnePlus 15, and the S25 Ultra. Let me know in the comment section below. Now, let's move over to the 3.5x zoom mode. This is now optically favoring the OnePlus 15. We've now kicked into the next tele zoom. It is a triple rear camera with an ultra wide, a 1x and a 3.5x equivalent, whereas the others are now doing a crop. Now the iPhone is probably doing the most amount of cropping because it's still coming from that main 1x sensor, so you can see the detail does drop. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is holding okay relative to the fact that it's cropping from the 3x 10 megapixels, whereas obviously the OnePlus 15 is definitely the one taking it here, but it is crushing the blacks a bit, so there's less definition in terms of around my facial hair, but overall the image is better on the OnePlus 15. Now let's go into the 4x zoom and crop mode respectfully, and now this is optically favoring the iPhone 17 Pro Max. That is overall the one that's looking the best. I would love a bit more contrast to the image, but overall the detail and the definition is 100% there. That high resolution new 4x sensor, great move from Apple to move from the 5x 12 megapixels to a larger 48 megapixel high resolution 4x sensor. It just makes sense. And then obviously when you do the in-sensor cropping to 8x, it is something that drops the resolution, and it's just a much better way to do it. And of course, natively in the right lighting conditions, the iPhones are binning at a much higher resolution, natively at 24 megapixels for their JPEG images, which is really great to see. And then when we go into the 5x zoom mode, this is now optically favoring what we're seeing on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And the iPhone 17 Pro Max is not that far off, but I definitely like what I'm seeing on the Galaxy S25 Ultra overall. I just look at my overall definition of the beard, and I would say the iPhone 17 Pro Max is really doing a good job there. OnePlus 15 is holding up okay, but it is struggling a bit here in this particular situation, but it's still an overall good image. I like it and it's decent. Most people are not going to complain about it, especially for people of darker skin tone. Smartphones tend to really have a challenge there, and this is a perfect scenario to really test it, especially getting lucky and getting a nice sunny day in the UK. Now, let's move into the high resolution modes. Yes, you can do this in RAW as well, but we're sticking to the JPEG mode. When you select their respective high resolution, these are the sensors and the focal lengths that you have. The ultra wide. Now, of course, I'm going to take advice. People wanted me to do a crop and zoom, so I'm going to do that in post, and you will see the difference in the detail. This is the ultra wide, and again, as stated, this is the best lighting condition to actually take these shots. Without good lighting like this, I would not recommend these high resolution modes. There is a lot of processing that it takes in terms of storage, and it takes a hit to dynamic range. So yeah, of course, the photo sites and the pixel in microns do become smaller. So yeah, this is just something to take into consideration. When we move over to the 1x mode in terms of the wide sensor for the high resolution, this is what we're pretty much getting, and all of them are doing a great and fantastic job. I think I really like what I'm seeing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15, and the processing on the S25 Ultra is balanced up. I think this is really just down to personal choice and preference, which one you like. So let me know in the comment section below, and of course the extra crop in for you to see the detail will be added as well. Now, when we go into the zoom modes, we can see respectively what we're working with here is the 3.5x, 4x, and the 5x respectively for whichever phones, which I've got labeled there. And the detail that you get on these high resolution sensors is really good. Of course, you can't do this on a 3x on the Samsung. This is tell sign that for an Ultra phone, we shouldn't be having low resolution sensors at the back, so hopefully they get rid of it and everything goes high resolution. That is including a front facing camera, which we'll touch on a bit later. Now let's move into portrait mode. Now I do pose like this because I want to create the gaps in between my arms so we can see if the computational photography is able to create a natural blur, and most flagship smartphones are really good at this, so it's hard not to really trick it anymore, but I still do it to help differentiate the different poses. So yeah, just take that into consideration, and all of them are doing a good job. When we're judging portrait mode, what we are judging for is the blur consistency, the blur quality, and also the cutout quality that we're getting in terms of edge detection, and all of them are great. Again, I don't have a lot of hair on top of my head, but my facial hair is where the real challenge can be, and all of them, honestly, no problems there. Going to the 2x crop mode, this is the same thing that we're working with, very consistent. I would say the Galaxy S25 Ultra does create a bit more fuzz around my head, so that might be the one that struggled a bit more in this. And I would say that overall the image from what I'm seeing in the OnePlus 15 is preferred, but again, overall they're all doing a decent job. Then we go into their respective modes, and of course you can't do any in between focal lengths. It is locking you to their respective focal lengths that have the tele, which is what we have here: 4x, 3.5x, and a 3x. And of course that iPhone, it just looks buttery smooth. I really like what they've done with this 4x moving away from the 5x. It's just a nice in-between gap. The 3.5x on the OnePlus 15 is doing a good job, and the 3x of course is doing a decent job as well. And then when we move into the 5x zoom mode, this is the maximum that you get for the S25 Ultra. That does look really good as well, but I think the overall image is preferred on the iPhone. But if we're looking at the processing for the blur, edge detection, yeah, the Samsung is equally on point. You're not going to go wrong with either. Same with the OnePlus 15 as well. Now let's switch over to the front facing camera, and man, selfies have had a very nice update in terms of the usability as well as the image quality and the field of view and the features that you get. We're looking at all of them are doing a good job. I would say that in terms of the highlights on my skin, the OnePlus 15 is really holding up well next to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I would say that the S25 Ultra is struggling a little bit, and the field of view is not as wide as the others. So again, I feel like Samsung really needs to update this when it comes to the sensor size, resolution, and the field of view. The other two really have it down. And when we move into the next one, this is what's also going to be a very interesting trick shot here. This is still the selfie, but again, I've got to give credit to the iPhone 17 Pro Max here, because guess what? This is actually a horizontal image. If we look at the selfie orientation there with the shadow of me, you can see that all the phones are actually orientated in vertical, but this is the benefit of the new iPhone 17 series. You are able to take horizontal images while holding it in vertical. And I know this sounds like such a small thing, but this is low-key such a game changer, where to the point where I feel we're the ones that need to catch up and remember that it's there. This is so convenient. This new square selfie sensor at 80 megapixels for wider selfies, on point. Apple, bravo. All new smartphones need to be using square sensors, not just for the selfie, but for the rear cameras as well. I want to co-sign it and make that happen. Now, when we go into that, next is the portrait mode. In this particular situation, one of my critiques for Apple right now is that their dedicated portrait mode makes you lose field of view and resolution, and I just don't understand why they do that, and it's not the best way to take selfies. In this particular situation, it struggled the most. It did miss a bit of edge detection around the left side of my ear, and it's just one of those things where I just hope Apple just don't do this anymore, but there is a way around it. All the others, when it comes to the portrait mode, I would say that the OnePlus 15 is the one that's the best in this particular situation. Now, you can see that this is the same portrait mode image, but you get the full field of view that is beneficial to that new selfie. Why? Because when you're in the normal photo mode, you will see the f-stop button at the bottom left. And when you click that, you get the full field of view and you get the real-time background blur processing for portrait mode. And of course, if you take a normal picture and it stores all the metadata, you can add the portrait mode in the gallery after the fact. This is the best way to do it. Do not use the standard portrait mode. You're going to lose resolution and field of view, and it's going to crop in, and there's no point in doing that. And in this particular situation, I think the iPhone is the best one out of all of them. Now, when we move into the next phases of what we're doing with the selfie, again, we've got a bright sunny day with no clouds in the sky. You can even see the plane speck in the back for the iPhone. This is a backlit situation. This is worst case scenario for a selfie. And again, sometimes you might need to do this, and I feel like they all handle the processing really well and different. I'll say that the OnePlus 15 is probably the most natural, especially to my skin tone, where it's much warmer because of the day it is. But some people might like the stylistic look of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and of course the field of view is so much better as well. This is great when it comes to that new selfie. Again, we've gone to the portrait mode and you've seen the difference in how the field of view changes for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Some people might like it just because of the compressed look of a portrait mode for a single person. I still don't think this is the best way to use the portrait mode. Definitely take a normal picture, press the f-stop button or add it in post like what you're seeing here. You get the field of view. If there's more people in there, it's much nicer. And of course, the benefit, like I said, with the new square sensor is you're holding it up in vertical mode and you can still take horizontal images. Now, that is something I just really appreciate about the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it works also the same when you're in the portrait mode. Another analysis I wanted to give was a bit of backhanded but actually full-on praise to OnePlus when it comes to the OnePlus 15 selfie. Now, when you actually go into the settings and select the high resolution mode for your standard pictures, this also affects the selfies. What's great is that the selfie is a high resolution 32 megapixels. Now, when in the right lighting conditions, what it looked like in the metadata is that all of the selfies were actually natively at 32 megapixels for JPEG. That was also including the portrait mode. So you can pretty much see that the portrait mode was able to do portrait mode and a 32 megapixel selfie, but this was automatic based on the lighting conditions. The reason why I say that is when you go into the high resolution mode, the high resolution mode only locks you to the rear cameras, which is the ultra wide, the 1x and the 3.5x. It doesn't give you the option for the selfie, like what you have on some of the flagship phones, like the Oppo Find X9 series and the Find X9 Pro. So this is something where I love seeing this level of flexibility and power to be able to use all the resolution of your sensor. But OnePlus, give us more manual control to be able to combine it by ourselves, rather than automatically letting the camera system deal with it. Apart from that, it is a praise, but in future software updates, as I've picked this up in the metadata, please do give us the option to control this and combine the high resolution with the JPEG for the selfies in portrait mode as well, and the standard photo mode for ourselves. But nonetheless, it's a good option. I kind of wanted to share that. While also filming this camera comparison, I've been testing K&F Concept's 3-in-1 magnetic selfie tripod, which is feature rich, quick and easy to use. For smartphone users, it's definitely going to help make your setup for taking pictures and videos way faster. When using a device like the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which natively supports MagSafe, it snaps on magnetically, which makes it super fast when switching between shots. And of course, the same goes for devices that natively support MagSafe and or are using MagSafe compatible cases. For devices not using MagSafe, you can still use the clamp, which is secure when doing handheld or static shots. My favorite is how quick and easy it is to pop open the tripod, set it up to the height that you want, and then revert back to a compact size or length you need, ready for the shots that you want. The included Bluetooth remote is a nice addition for triggering at a distance, and if you want one for yourself to help make your smartphone shooting easier, faster, and more straightforward, then check and use the links in the description below. And thank you to K&F Concept for sponsoring a portion of this video. Okay, now let's power through the landscape images with the rear camera, starting with the ultra wide. And the most obvious thing you can see is the rendition of the sky. You can see that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is much more neutral. The OnePlus 15 is now the in-between, where the Galaxy S25 Ultra is a bit more saturated in this particular situation. Of course, you have to remember this generation of Samsung phones from the previous S24 series do not have the scene optimizer mode on natively. Things might change if you activate it, but natively in the default camera settings, there's no scene optimizer enabled as we go through. Now let's power through and we get to the 1x sensor. And of course, things change ever so slightly, where you do have things looking a bit more neutral on the OnePlus 17 for the sky, but obviously the foliage of the grass, it is very saturated. So how it's balanced out in terms of the colors really depends on how you're looking at your preferred side of the image. But of course, the nice in between is with the S25 Ultra. It does have a bit more contrast, but great detail on all of them. Let's go into the 2x crop mode. Again, very consistent in the focal length and the look of the processing, which is really great to see. Great detail on all of them, which is what we like. Going to the 3x crop mode and zoom mode. This is optically favoring what we are seeing on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. That is giving the best image overall when it comes to this particular shot, but I do like the colors that I'm seeing in the OnePlus 15. And then when we go into the 3.5x zoom mode for the OnePlus 15, that is overall the better image when it comes to the detail, sharpness, and the clarity. And of course, I do like the much more punchy colors that come out of it, but again, that's just a preference of style. But let me know which one you prefer in the comments section below. As we're pretty much going through, we're now in the 4x zoom mode, and I feel like the iPhone 17 Pro Max looks a bit washed out in terms of the colors, but the detail is there because of the high resolution, the larger sensor, and the fact that it is in the 4x optical telephoto zoom mode compared to the others that are still cropping from their previous one, whereas obviously the OnePlus 15 holds up really well. Now we're going to the 5x zoom mode for the Galaxy S25 Ultra. It does look good across all of them. That's the one that's probably powering through the most, then followed by the iPhone, and then the OnePlus 15. Now showcasing the high resolution modes for the landscape images again. As advised, this is the best and optimal lighting conditions to use this mode because the pixel sizes in microns for the photo sites are going to become smaller. There's going to be a large consideration of storage to be taken out. And of course, the dynamic range does generally take a hit. Of course, these newer smartphones have really gotten good at dynamic range at these high resolutions, but still something to take into consideration. And then when you go into the 1x mode, you're able to optically favor and use the high resolution again for all of them. And same goes for their zoom mode, which is 4x for the iPhone, 3.5x for the OnePlus, and 5x zoom for the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now let's look at this image here of the autumn leaves, and all of them are actually doing such a good job. I would say that in terms of the shadow detail, you're probably getting better shadows on the Samsung and the OnePlus 15. I do like the overall image of the OnePlus 15 just because of the colors, but again, just let me know which one you prefer in the comment section below. And I think same favors when we're more on the sun side onto the tree rather than against on the side like we did before. Again, very consistent. I would say that it is looking nice in terms of the overall colors for me on the OnePlus 15 personally, and the shadow detail is much better on the Galaxy S25 Ultra on par with the OnePlus 15. Now let's go into the extended zoom mode and power through, starting with the ultra wide. And of course, this particular situation, you can see that the lens flaring on the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra is a lot on the ultra wide. Again, I wiped the lenses. Trust me, this is not my first rodeo. I know people get into the comments and be like, hey, you never wiped all the lenses, it's all smudgy. Listen, I've got professional lens cleaning kit with me that I use, and if you follow me on Instagram, loveroftech_BA, you will see that I'm very diligent with my BTS when I'm doing my camera comparisons. So yeah, as going through, we can really see that sun flaring is really managed well on the iPhone 17 Pro Max in this particular situation. Let's move over to the 1X. Again, consistent from before, from what we were seeing in terms of the color rendition. Of course, having the sun against it can skew things, but we can see that in terms of the overall colors, the OnePlus 15 really leans into that more saturated, punchy look, whereas things are much more neutral on the iPhone and balanced out on the S25 Ultra. 2x crop mode, again, detail handling and shadow detail is so much better on the OnePlus 15 and also what we're seeing on S25 Ultra. Overall, I would say the OnePlus 15 for the shadow detail is great, but the detail is better preserved on the iPhone and S25 Ultra. 3x crop and zoom respectively, optically favoring the S25 Ultra. Again, I would say that the shadow detail is really well handled on the OnePlus 15, but the detail is better on the S25 Ultra and what we're seeing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max in this shop. Let's go over to the 3.5x zoom mode, and things are really kicking up better detail when we're seeing on the OnePlus 15. Did struggle a little bit here for some reason in my personal opinion, but again, I think overall that is the image that I do prefer just because of the shadow detail being better preserved. Now let's go into the 4x zoom and crop mode. The iPhone here is really bringing things back. Still a balanced and neutral image, but again, the detail does favor it compared to the others. Then when we go into the 5x zoom mode, which optically now favors the Galaxy S25 Ultra, it did struggle a bit with the glaring and the flaring, but overall it is a good image. I just feel like the detail for the shadows is better preserved in this particular situation for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And that's something you kind of have to look for when the sun is against the sensors. How good is the shadow detail when it comes to managing and balancing a good HDR dynamic range image across the board? For me, it's the iPhone 17 Pro Max here while still keeping good detail. Let's go into the 8x crop mode for the iPhone 17 Pro Max and 7x crop on the OnePlus 15 and the S25 Ultra going into that 10x crop mode. And of course, it's hard to really match it as we're going because I'm trying to move quickly to get against the sun, and yeah, the detail is pretty much in the pudding. I'll say the OnePlus 15 is doing a decent job, whereas the iPhone 17 Pro Max, yeah, that's really looking good as well. Now let's go into the super extended zoom mode. The maximum you get with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, I believe, is 40x. Then you've got the 60x for the OnePlus 15 and then a 50x crop. At this point, it's just smudges and letters, man. AI is going to try and do everything to correct it, but again, even going to the maximum zoom mode at 120x on the OnePlus 15 and 100x on the S25 Ultra, you ain't going to see nothing. Trust me, it's not that deep. It's just something that's just there. So yeah, they don't really look all that good across the board. And of course, again, showcasing the high resolution mode for the ultra wide. Again, no different to before. This is the best lighting condition to go through, and processing is very consistent as we go through. Same for the 1x. Again, the flaring is better managed when you have that, and of course, going into the zoom mode respectively, this is what you have here. Great processing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15. Now let's look at some quick indoor shots of this Funko Pop, and this is really more of a showcase of minimum focusing distance. The minimum focusing distance on a main 1x sensor for these flagship devices. Now for the longest time, and I believe since the iPhone 14 Pro series, the minimum focusing distance on the iPhone cameras for the Pro and the Pro Maxes have not really been that great, and in fact, the normal non-Pro phones have a better minimum focusing distance, even though it is a smaller sensor and it's not as wide in terms of the 1x. I think it's 26mm compared to 23 or 24. But again, you can see that the minimum focusing distance on the OnePlus 15 and especially on the S25 Ultra for the main 1x is really good. When you nail the focus, it gives you that natural blur around, so you can really get close and get the best image quality from the 1x while getting as much natural depth of field as possible. You see the next shot is when you slightly fall out of that minimum focusing distance and you start getting blurring. Now, why is that important? Because this is all down to macro mode. Macro mode is all where there is autofocus built in this particular situation for all these flagship phones. They're ultra wide. Now, I always get this question of, hey, there is a tele macro mode on these phones. Listen, if it doesn't have a dedicated mode that says it's using a telephoto zoom lens to actually do macro mode, and it's pulling from the ultra wide with autofocus from there, it doesn't have a tele macro mode. Going into macro mode or going into master mode or manual mode to do that, it's not the same. So yeah, these cameras are using the ultra wide to get close, and of course, without any assist tools for things like focus peaking and stuff, I'm doing my best to get as close as possible. All of them really do allow you to get close, especially in this particular situation, the iPhone 17 Pro Max followed by the S25 Ultra and the OnePlus 15. Now, these outdoor daytime images are off when I went to Prague with OnePlus 15 to collect my OnePlus 15 device for review way before embargo, and it was my first time in Prague. Prague in Czech Republic, and it was just such a beautiful place to be in terms of architecture. So I really want to file all of this. This is going to add a decent length to the camera comparison. So definitely, if you feel you want to skip this part, there is a bookmark. Get to the next part when it comes to the low light images as well as the videos. But I actually beseech you, please stick around, because this is good memories for me, and it really just helps me get out of my normal environment as you see me do my pictures and videos for smartphones. And yeah, as we're going through, this is something I had to really work quick because it was also raining, and once it rains, man, camera comparisons become a done. In this particular situation, we're looking at the 1X across all of them. I really like what OnePlus have done here, and it's just a balance of the fact that they've prioritized the shadow detail and the clarity, whereas the others are really trying to preserve an overall image with the clouds in the sky as well. So I think I really like what OnePlus are doing, but overall I like the S25 Ultra here. We go to the ultra wide, which is the next shot here, and it's just very interesting. Again, like I said, iPhone still gives you a true ultra wide field of view, and I really appreciate it there. So I like that image because of that, but all of them in terms of the image and the clarity are really good. The colors on the OnePlus 15 for the ultra wide does red a little bit on the building, but again, that's just something I'm just picking up quickly as I'll go through. We're doing this quick fire. Ultra wide, as we're pretty much going through, again, a better ultra wide field of view on the iPhone, but image rendition when it comes to the colors and the detail are still good across the board. I really like what I'm seeing on the OnePlus 15, but I think overall the field of view that what you get on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is something I still gravitate to a lot more. Now we'll go to the 1X zoom mode. Again, the shadow detail preservation on a gloomy sky day like this is really nice on the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is something that leaves a bit wanting on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but again, we just make it work as we go. And we're going to the 2X crop mode. Again, very consistent as we're going through, so let me know which one you prefer in terms of the detail. And then when we go into the 3.5X 4X zoom and a 3X zoom, again, I wasn't matching it here exactly like I was doing before because I had to really move quick on a group, and it was just a lot when it comes to avoiding the rain. So we're just sticking it to their usual focal lengths for instance of cropping as well as their tele, and they all look great here. 5X, 7X, and 8X respectively. Looking at all the labels, take time, have a look and see which one you prefer. I think I really like what I'm seeing here on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And of course, moving over to the ultra wide again, this is such a really nice shot. Again, you can just see the ultra wide difference perspective on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So I've got to give Apple props for that. It really does look good, but the others, again, the image quality still looking great. Now we're going to the 1X zoom mode or the 1X wide. This is something that is really good and processed well on all of them. Again, you're not going to be hard done to tell the difference between all of them, which is really, really good. Now we go into the 1X wide mode. Again, this is another image of the building, and I think I really like the colors that I'm seeing on the OnePlus 15. Just pops a little bit more, which is really nice and a great perspective. Now, when we're going into the 1X wide mode, again, you can see that things are really looking consistent across the board. So again, very consistent. Take time, pause, have a look and see which one you like out of all of them. Now, moving into the 7X extended zoom mode. In this particular situation, I look at the image and I do kind of prefer what I'm seeing with the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Again, just a quick fire look at all of them. Let me know which one you prefer in the comment section below. If you disagree, let's have a discussion about it. And with the 1X being wide sensor, again, not much happening in the scene. I feel like in terms of the overall image, the iPhone 17 Pro Max manages it better. It doesn't blur out the sky as much as what you've seen in the S25 Ultra. And of course, the shadows are better preserved on the OnePlus 15, so that might be preferred for a lot of people. Great detail on all of them. And again, as we pretty much go through, we can see that this is pretty much consistent when we get to the ultra wide as well. So yeah, it's really nice getting that true ultra wide field of view on the iPhone 17 Pro Max in my personal opinion. Let's come back to the streets of the building with the 1X, and again, all of them are doing such a good job. You're going to be hard pressed to see which one is not doing great, which is what we like in terms of the camera consistency for quick snapshots in situations like this. So I'm happy with all of them. Now we go over to the 1X, and again, the image and the scenery for Prague was just so nice and refreshing. I just wish it wasn't raining so much and it wasn't so dark and gloomy, but apart from that, in terms of the autumnal leaves that you're seeing, it was just really nice to see, and I really like what I'm seeing with the colors punching a bit more on the OnePlus 15 followed by the others. Now we'll go into the ultra wide. Again, a true ultra wide field of view on the iPhone 17 Pro Max just can't be defeated. I've got to give credit and praise to it, and I just hope other camera manufacturers just follow suit, mixing it with the high resolution and larger sensors as well. In this particular situation, this is like a dark clock building, and the statue building here, the iPhone 17 Pro Max absolutely just does not do a good job. I feel like the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra are doing the best here. I would say overall the OnePlus 15, the S25 Ultra hazes a little bit, so just take that into consideration. And the ultra wide, all of them do struggle. I would say that in terms of the image rendition, if we're looking at the clock tower statue as the focal point, it's the S25 Ultra. Now let's zoom in again with the 2x crop, and for me it's the OnePlus 15. Just looking at it, it's the one that processed the images well. Again, there is a little bit of detail loss, but I think the overall process, and especially with the shadow detail, the OnePlus 15 is the one that's doing a good job here. Now let's come into some of the town shots that we were at with the ultra wide. Again, having a true ultra wide field of view on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is undefeated, but the image quality and the clarity that we're seeing on OnePlus 15 is really good. The processing on the S25 Ultra, yeah, does haze out a little bit, but again, this is something that we have to take into consideration with the fact that it was raining a lot and I had to be wiping the lens regularly, moving quickly. Really hard to get these shots in this type of condition. We go over to the One X, and of course, all of them are doing a great job when it comes to the processing, and I do like what I'm seeing in the OnePlus 15, then followed by the S25 Ultra and the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But again, whichever order works best for you, let me know in the comment section below. Now we are going in to the ultra wide again, and of course in terms of the processing, I still just prefer what I'm seeing on the ultra wide for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. That true ultra wide field of view and the image quality is really good. Moving over to the One X for the statue, again I'd say the colors become a bit more muted on the OnePlus in this particular situation, where they pop a bit more on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, so you might prefer that. Again, let me know in the comment section below. We go into the 2x crop mode, and again the color processing stays consistent, a bit more punchy and saturated this time around. I don't know whether it's because of the haze and the clouds and the rain that was really affecting it in this particular situation, but again, this is what we're seeing. Then we'll go into the extended zoom mode, obviously 4x, 3.5x and 3x respectively across the board. And of course, in terms of the image processing, the iPhone is looking really good and the OnePlus 15 is doing a decent job as well. S25 Ultra is holding up, but again, it's 3x 10 megapixel zoom, it just needs to go. Now when we go into the 5x crop and extended in-sensor crop at 7x and 8x respectively, we're seeing a very good job across all of them. You're reaching more, of course, with the in-sensor cropping at 8x on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And this is a shot of the crucifix. There's so much happening here in terms of the colors, the gold, the statue itself, and honestly man, the OnePlus 15 is the one that does it. It really just knows how to preserve the shadow details well in this particular situation, so I'm giving it to the OnePlus 15 on this particular shot. Again, moving to the ultra wide field of view that you're getting is just much better on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And of course the processing for the shadow detail may be slightly better on the S25 Ultra, so maybe that takes in this particular situation. 2x crop, we can see that things really are a struggle for all of them. Maybe I kind of prefer what I'm seeing on the S25 Ultra ever so slightly, because you can make a bit more detail for the shadows. But again, we're moving in closer to the zoom. It's a struggle for all of these cameras in this particular situation, even when we're going to the 5x for the S25 Ultra. Again, pick the one that you like. We're just trying to power through these ones very quickly. Now let's get back into some of the buildings, and I really like what I'm seeing in terms of the color rendition on the S25 Ultra and the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but things are nicely balanced on the OnePlus 15, so take that into consideration. Doing a 2x crop, again, instantly my eyes just gravitate to the colors of the iPhone 17 Pro Max for this particular situation. But of course, everything here is looking good on all of them. And then when we get into the extended zoom modes, again, consistency wise, I like what I'm seeing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Things are nicely balanced on the OnePlus 15, so that might be preferred for a much more neutral look, and things hold up well on the S25 Ultra as well. This is the astronomical clock. I really like this. This was just such a very good monumental piece for this area, and it was really nice with the One X. Again, the colors are looking a bit more balanced out on the OnePlus 15, and the saturation levels are really matching on the iPhone and the Samsung. We go into the ultra wide, again, you get that nice ultra wide field of view on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, can't be defeated, and a really nice beneficial benefit here. And then when we go into the 2x crop mode, they are doing a good detail processing crop on all of them. Good detail, I have no complaints. I think it's just the colors that punch a bit more in this particular situation on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I think it's like it's compensating, much more neutral on the OnePlus 15, so it's consistent as what we've been seeing and balanced out on the S25 Ultra. Now we're going into the extended zoom mode, and yeah, when I look at the detail, I would say that definitely is the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15. The 17 Pro Max maybe slightly takes in this particular one. Again, that 3x zoom is just not going to compete with the others on the Samsung, so yeah, take into consideration, move over to the 5x for that higher resolution and pixel binning. It really does help, but again, I still think the balance of the 4x is really good on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and obviously things are shaping up well on the OnePlus 15. Now let's look at this in terms of the final extended zoom stages. 1x, again, it's very consistent when it comes to the colors being balanced on the OnePlus 15, more saturated on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and of course, very balanced on the S25 Ultra while neutral on the OnePlus 15. Let's go to the ultra wide again, same consistency as before in terms of the image quality, but the ultra wide field of view on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is much more preferred. Now we are going into the 2x crop mode. We're trying to censor into the statue over there that we can see, and again, very consistent, no different from before. Great detail on all of them. I'll say that detail wise, the iPhone and the OnePlus 15 are doing the best here. Now we're going to the zoom modes, respectively from what we're seeing at 4x, 3.5x, and the 3x. Things are looking much nicer on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I really like what Apple are doing here. Of course, the OnePlus 15 does follow suit. Then the S25 Ultra. Then we're moving into the further extended zoom modes at 8x in sensor cropping, 7x and 5x zoom respectively. Again, the iPhone is processing really well. Things are falling apart a little bit on the OnePlus 15 in this particular situation, but again, because of the rain, I had to be moving quickly and really getting these shots in before we moved, and it was in a very crowded space with my camera contraption as well, so take that into consideration. Again, doing an extended crop at 30x on all of them and 10x. Again, it is the OnePlus 15 that processes it a bit better, but I mean, at this point, honestly, it's just the faces that you're seeing on there, to me, is kind of creepy when you're doing a maximum extended zoom. Yes, thanks to AI, the OnePlus 15 is able to do stuff compared to the 40x and 100x, but yeah, that just looks creepy to me. Let's turn off the lights and take some low light images with the OnePlus 15, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Now, my avid watchers of my definitive camera comparison know that I go through a staggered stages of processing when taking these images in low light. But if this is your first time you stumbled across my channel when it comes to my definitive camera comparison, and you appreciate this in-depth, thorough process of how we actually take a methodical approach to taking our pictures and videos, then please do like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos on the Lover of Tech channel, especially when it comes to our definitive camera comparison. This should be the last one for 2025, going into 2026. Really appreciate your support. Let's get back onto the road for 100,000 subscribers. That would really mean a lot to get the silver play button for all the hard work that we've done for these in-depth comparisons. Yeah, it would really mean a lot. What we tend to do is we go through 3 stages where applicable. We take it without night mode, then we take it with night mode, then we take it with flash where applicable. The reason why is image processing and capturing speed and capturing experience is really important, and it differentiates. In some situations, as great as night mode is, you have to consider things like light bleed and motion. And when those things come into play, night mode might not actually be the best, and sometimes night mode can be really overpowering, whereas you might find it better to take it without night mode. And in some cases, old school, but using a flash works really well. So we're gonna go through all of them. Let's start with the rear pictures with me in the frame as a subject, starting with the ultra wide without night mode active. And in this particular situation, all of them are a struggle fest. I think maybe the best one is the Galaxy S25 Ultra and then the OnePlus 15, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max is a no bueno. Now we go to the 1X mode. In this particular situation, all of them do clean up a lot better, so I really like that. In terms of the skin and highlight retention, I like what I'm seeing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15. We're going to the 2X crop mode. In sensor processing, things fall apart a bit more on the S25 Ultra, and I think the overall image is better on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, then followed by the OnePlus 15. Let's go into their respective crop mode, matching up, of course, 3x zoom. And of course, we've gone into the, camera assistant to stop the in-sensor cropping on the main 1X, where if you switch to that dedicated telly, it is using that. So that's one thing that we'd love to see, and that is a good look in retrospect. So again, the image quality and processing is a struggle on all of them. Again, I'll probably pick the S25 Ultra, even though it does have the most amount of noise, it does preserve the best detail. Let's go into the 3.5x crop, which is meant to optically favor the OnePlus 15. Again, it is a dark image because that is what we're getting with the 3.5x. Moving on to the 4x zoom. Again, with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, there isn't any native way to actually manually make sure that it is using a 4x. It's probably still doing a crop on the main 1x. Again, would love to have more control like what you have the Android phones in this particular situation. Now, let's go into the 5x zoom, which is optically favoring what we're seeing on S25 Ultra. We can see things are a struggle on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it is going to be the Galaxy S25 Ultra that takes it. Let's run it back. Let's now activate night mode and see where the difference is. And you can see already, night mode for iPhone 17 Pro Max, for all the camera comparisons I've done with it, you really do see a difference. You use night mode with the Ultra with the iPhone 17 Pro Max. You don't see much of a difference with the OnePlus 15, but again, you can see that things really overpower for the S25 Ultra. So maybe flash works better. Let's get to it and see, or not use a night mode. 1x, again, huge difference for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, slight difference for the OnePlus 15, and it does unfortunately overpower for the S25 Ultra. So I'll lay off the night mode for the S25 Ultra. Really beneficial for the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15. Going to the 2x crop mode, again, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is the one that's really benefiting the most next to the OnePlus 15, whereas the S25 Ultra, of course, it's improving, but it's kind of overpowering for me in the frame as a subject. So yeah, take that into consideration. The 3x crop and also zoom mode respectively, yes, it is improved on the S25 Ultra, but again, it still feels like it's overpowering. So yes, the detail is much better, but I just don't like the highlight retention and the overpowering nature of it. It doesn't really preserve nighttime, so just take that into consideration. Of course, the 3.5x zoom, it kind of improves it for the OnePlus 15, but detail is still great loss, which is unfortunate and not something we really want in this particular situation. Now, when we go into the 4x zoom and crop mode, again, things are better improved on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The OnePlus 15, again, it still doesn't really hold candle well, and things still do overpower a little bit on the S25 Ultra. I'll say Samsung really need to work on the processing to make sure that the night mode is balanced out well. Now, when we go into the 5x zoom mode for the night mode, again, really does help improve on the S25 Ultra, but it does give that kind of smudge pastel look, and that's the same for the OnePlus 15. Overall, I'll say that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is the better one out of all of them here. Running it back for the third time in this particular situation, flash is applicable. In my personal humble opinion, the flash is very powerful on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. It really pulsates, right? And it really travels a long distance, but I just feel like the noise grain and the red eye, and it's just not really that great. I kind of like the stylistic look of night mode on the, OnePlus 15 with the flash, so maybe that's better. But I think, honestly, the S25 Ultra is the balanced one out of all of them. We go to the 1X. Again, what makes it look like you're using a flash is the OnePlus 15, so you might prefer that stylistic look. That's probably the one I'll probably give in terms of this particular shot. Now, when we go into the 2X crop mode, again, same difference. I would say, again, that look of flash is much more prominent with the OnePlus 15, even though the flash is very powerful on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The processing is a bit meh, and that's same for the S25 Ultra. Now we'll go into the 3x crop and zoom mode. Again, the red eye that you're seeing on the S25 Ultra is not really favored. Same for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I've got to give it to the OnePlus 15, but honestly, even that, it doesn't really look that great when it comes to the detail, but again, it's doing a 3x crop. Now, when we go into the 3.5x zoom mode, it does improve, but you do get a bit of red eye in. I still will overall give it to the OnePlus 15 because of the stylistic look of flash. But again, all of them are struggling in their own right, so giving it the win is still a bit, so just take it into consideration. Now to the 4x crop mode, you can see that with the zoom, even on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, again, it's just a very noisy and grainy image with a lot of red eye, but again, that's for all of them. So I'll probably give it because of that, but again, that's just more for the favor of how powerful the flash is. So I'll probably give it to the iPhone 17 Pro Max in this particular situation. Now we're going to the 5x crop mode. Again, the flash on the iPhone is still the most powerful to travel at that distance to actually capture me. So I still kind of have to give it. But again, the overall image from what we're seeing on the S25 Ultra is nice, but again, still very dark. And again, giving these ones a win in this particular situation, it's a tough crowd. Portrait mode, let's look at some portrait mode images in nighttime, and it's a very, very interesting breakout and look from what we're seeing here. And we're going to see some differences in the abilities of what you can do. We're doing it without night mode first, if it's even applicable. And I have to say, all of them do a decent job. This is tough doing it in night mode. And I have to say, I really like what the OnePlus 15 is doing. I think overall, that's the image I like the most. Then followed by the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. But overall, I think I really like the OnePlus 15. Now, going into the 2x crop mode, again, I feel like the OnePlus is the one that's really holding it up the best. Then the iPhone 17 Pro Max, then the Galaxy S25 Ultra, then their respective zoom modes. Again, I feel like it's the OnePlus 15 that took a clean sweep on this one. The 3x, I tried it many times on the S25 Ultra, and I think it needs night mode and flash for it to work because it didn't work. Then, of course, it's the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max, just for them actually nailing the portrait mode. Now, the 5x mode in this particular situation for the S25 Ultra did work, which is great to see. That's what we love. So that is at least a good redemption story. Now, let's run it back. And what you're going to notice is The Galaxy S25 Ultra is the only camera system that allows you to combine night mode and portrait mode together. This is great in what you want to be seeing from an ultra or pro level flagship camera system. This is great. The others don't give you a night mode option, and I've said this before in the previous camera comparisons. Apple, in the previous model for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, allows you to at least do night mode and portrait mode together on the 1X. Even if you couldn't do it on the 2X or the Zoom, you could do it on the 1X. They've removed it altogether. So this is technically a step back. Don't know why, and I would love to see it come back and also be introduced in the 2X and the 4X. In this particular situation, technically it's the S25 Ultra that wins it because it allows you to combine the two, but as you can see, very overpowering on me in terms of my skin tone. Now we'll go into the 2X mode. Again, allows you to still do the same thing. Based on the technicality of being able to combine portrait mode and night mode together, I kind of have to give it to the S25 Ultra. But again, Samsung really needs to work on the process and to dial in the night mode to make it not so overpowering. So here, when you go into the 3X zoom mode for night mode and portrait mode, then it works, right? And that's, again, another praise I've got to give Samsung for being able to do that. So night mode in the 3X or portrait mode, that's what you need to make it work. And it's no different, again, for the 5X. Again, we're judging the blur consistency, the quality, the edge detection. The overall image does lose sharpness and detail does smear, but overall, that combination of doing portrait mode and night mode, even on the 5X, Samsung, I'll give you the praise on this. You do take this one up. Running it back for the third time is portrait mode using the flash, and of course all of them nail it. I think what's more prominent is the Galaxy S25 Ultra in terms of the blur, intensity, consistency, edge detection, and the quality. Really nice. The others are quite subtle, so it really stands out for the S25 Ultra. But again, I feel like maybe if you want much more of a subtle look, I would say the iPhone 17 Pro Max is really doing a good job. Go into the 2X mode with the flash. Again, all of them nail it. Flash is also a good alternative to really help. I think overall I kind of like what I'm seeing image-wise from the OnePlus 15. The overall look of it really is pleasing. Then we will go into the respective zoom modes for the portrait mode for using the flash. And again, things do smudge a lot when it comes to the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but at least it does nail the edge detection and the blur. I do like what I'm seeing in the OnePlus 15 with the 3.5X and the flash and the portrait mode together. So yeah, I think that's the one that's going to overall take that image for me. And then when with the 5X, again, it does look good on the Samsung. So you can pretty much bout this one between the Samsung and the OnePlus 15. Let me know which one you prefer in the comment section below. Which one am I going to pick? I'll probably say the S25 Ultra for this one. Quick fires we're going through. Let's turn it to the front. Look at some selfie images for low light. And again, from what I'm seeing instantly, I like what I'm seeing on the OnePlus 15. The iPhone 17 Pro Max just struggles without night mode. And of course, the lack of field of view that you're getting on the S25 Ultra is something to be considered, but overall the image is good, but I do prefer the OnePlus 15 here. Now we go into activating night mode. Again, really powers up for the iPhone and the S25 Ultra. The iPhone really needs night mode for selfies, so just take that into consideration. It really 100% makes all the difference. Not much of a difference on the OnePlus 15, but it's balanced enough, and you see a huge difference for the S25 Ultra. Here's where it processes really well, but I think overall I like what I'm seeing in the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Now let's use the front screen flash with it. Again, things fall apart for the 17 Pro Max. Stick to night mode, not the front screen flash. In this particular situation, I like what I'm seeing in the S25 Ultra and the OnePlus 15, so that's a good look. Now, when we go into the dedicated portrait mode, I've said it before, that dedicated portrait mode in night mode together, low light, that mode on iPhone 17 Pro Max, you're going to lose field of view and crop. So avoid using it that way. If we can take the normal picture and the f-stop button works with the field of view and you get all of that together, that is really something that you want. But of course, the OnePlus 15 really takes it. All of them do nail the portrait mode for night mode. So at least that is a good thing. But overall, the OnePlus 15 then followed by the S25 Ultra. Now, the S25 Ultra, again, is the only one that allows you to combine selfie, night mode, and portrait mode together. So on that technicality, it has to win this one. Really good look from Samsung. Well done. Now, front screen flash, again, I would say all of them really do struggle to some extent. The one that struggles the most is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So that's discounted. I would say it's definitely between the OnePlus 15 and S25 Ultra. S25 Ultra for that more stylistic look of using flash, but the OnePlus 15 for the overall image for light illumination and still nailing portrait mode with flash together. So good look on both of them there. Last set of low light images with the rear camera landscape without me in the frame as the subject. Again, starting it without night mode, and we can pretty much go through and see this, that is consistent. Without night mode, man, all of them are struggling. The one that's struggling the most is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I think the one that preserves the better look of night mode is obviously with the OnePlus 15 and the S25 Ultra, so I like those two there. Let's move over to the One X as we are extending through to see, and of course all of them really punch up well. I feel like the one that balances well in this particular situation with minimal flaring is going to be the iPhone 17 Pro Max that I really like. Then we're going through again to the 2x in sensor cropping. The iPhone 17 Pro Max really balances out well. Things are really a bit of a struggle for the OnePlus 15. I feel like it still does some form of processing even though you're not shooting in night mode, so again that's something you don't really have control over. Now we're going to the 3x crop and zoom mode. Again, things are really balancing out well on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I like what I'm seeing there, and of course when it comes to what we're seeing on S25 Ultra, that does a good job. A bit of a struggle on the OnePlus 15. Now we're going to the 3.5x zoom. Again, the OnePlus 15 brings it back, and it is the best image out of all of them, followed by the 17 Pro Max and then the S25 Ultra. We're going to the 4x zoom and crop mode. Again, I still prefer what I'm seeing in the OnePlus 15. This is a really good look. Again, well done on OnePlus for this image. And then we'll go into the 5x crop and zoom mode. Again, I would say that this particular one, I do like what I'm seeing in the S25 Ultra. Things overpower a bit when it comes to the light control over the lamp for the sign for the OnePlus 15. So I'm gonna go S25 Ultra, iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the OnePlus 15 here. Let's activate night mode where it's applicable. There's not gonna be any flash on this one. And again, night mode makes a huge difference on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, so definitely use it there for the ultra wide. Now we'll go to the 1x zoom mode. This particular situation here, it's really favorable from what we're seeing on all of them. So that really balances out well. There's a bit of flaring on the OnePlus 15 when it comes to the lamp, but again, overall, all of them are looking good. I do like what I'm seeing on the 17 Pro Max though. Now let's go into the 2x zoom mode for the in-sensor cropping, and it's actually the OnePlus 15 that really balances out well, minus the flaring on the lamp. I would say that that's better maintained on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but I do like what I'm seeing on both of them there. Now we'll go into the 3x crop mode. I would say that things are losing a bit of detail on the OnePlus 15. I'm gonna give it to the S25 Ultra because it does preserve it well, but there is a bit of magenta flaring around the lamp. But again, take that into consideration. What part of the image are you focusing on? You're focusing on the sign and the detail. I think the S25 Ultra does well with the night mode active. 3.5x, things do claw back, and it is the OnePlus 15 that does the best here. So well done for OnePlus with the 3.5x zoom with night mode active in this particular shot. We go into the 4x again. Things do claw back nicely for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I like what I'm seeing there, especially the color of the sign as well is really, really nice and punchy and saturated, good detail. So I do like what I'm seeing on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now we're going to the final shot with the 5x crop and zoom mode respectfully, and I feel that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is really the one that's really nice to look at compared to all of them here. But what's good is all of them do have great detail in terms of the sign and the light control. It's more the colors and the look of night as well. So I kind of like what I'm seeing on the 17 Pro Max, then followed by the OnePlus 15 and the S25 Ultra. Now we've analyzed all the photos for these flagship devices, it's now time for the video section. Now the best way to watch this section of the camera comparison is on the largest screen possible at the highest resolution at 4K 60 and with headphones and earphones on so you can hear the audio switching and the audio quality. Of course, this chapter's linked in the description below, but sit back, relax. This will be a detailed one. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and of course, video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Again, just seeing how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and of course, video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a front-facing camera on the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. What we've now activated is their respective video portrait mode, which simulates the background blur effect that you get. Now, what's so great to see, OnePlus, you're doing this in 4K UHD now, but the benefit you have here is way more control. You can pause the video on a OnePlus, continue on the same clip, take pictures, which you can't do on the other two. The Samsung you can pause, but you can't take pictures. But you see, here's a neat trick. The OnePlus allows you to flip to the back cameras. You can flip to the back camera, all on the same clip. That's just a level of control you don't get on the others. Now, credit to the iPhone, it does store all the blur intensity and the blur positioning after you finish recording, which is really great. Samsung, they've eliminated any form of control. Before, you could actually change the blur while you're recording in real time. They've removed that. You can't do anything in terms of changing it after, because it doesn't store the metadata. So you get extra really good controls on the OnePlus. I say Oppo because Oppo improved this and added the same benefit as well. So it's really great to see it here on the OnePlus. When I recorded in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and a Galaxy S25 Ultra, again, just seeing how the image quality is like, colors, detail, sharpness, dynamic range, and of course video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. Let's switch to the ultra wide. These cameras do allow you to flip between the rear lenses without having to stop recording. Still a quick run. Let's move over to 2x, 2x, 2x. And let's just do a slow walk. .4x on the iPhone, 3.5x on the OnePlus, 3x on the Samsung. And we're switching over to 5x on the Samsung. Back to 1x, back to 1x, back to 1x. Now, a few considerations to really look at when you're using these smartphones is how they switch between lenses. Now, all these allow you to pause recording and continue on the same clip, and you can take pictures at the same time. What's great is both the OnePlus and the Samsung allow you to flip to the selfie camera on the same clip without having to stop recording. This was always the case with Samsung for the longest time. They've been pioneering and leading this, but OnePlus, well done for doing this. Just like Oppo, you've improved the flexibility, all on the same clip while still recording. I love this. I know we have dual capture on the iPhone, but iPhones still cannot do this. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like at the high frame rate in 4K ultra high definition. Just seeing how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and of course, video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. Let's switch to the ultra wide. Again, you've got flexibility in 4K 60 between the rear lenses, which is great to see. Still a quick run. Two X, 2X, 2X. Just doing a steady walk. Go to 4x, 3.5x, 3x. And then 5x on the Samsung. Let's come back to 1x, 1x. Again, flexibility to switch between all the lenses on the rear camera while recording on the same clip. All of these phones in 4K 60 allow you to pause and continue on the same clip and take pictures at the same time. But again, it is the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra that allow you to flip to the front-facing camera while recording on the same clip. Again, 4K 60, great benefit. This is such a great improvement for usability for the OnePlus 15, catching up to what Samsung do, and in some ways a slightly bit better if you're considering video portrait mode like I showed you earlier. We are now recording in their respective 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode. Now this is on the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. The iPhone is still limited to a maximum resolution of 4K. So yeah, this is a great native recording advantage that you get on the OnePlus 15 and also the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So we've just seen how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and of course, video stabilization. Still a quick run. We're still recording in their respective 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode natively on the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. The benefit here is the S25 Ultra allows you to not just do it on a 1x, but also on the ultra wide 0.6x. 8K is only limited to the 1x main wide sensor on the OnePlus 15, which is still great. Glad it's got it. It's utilizing the high resolution sensor, but it would be great to actually have had it on the other two as well, which Samsung enables you to do. Again, we're just limited to 4K on the iPhone. Quick run. You can see the ultra wide field of view on the Samsung. Again, still recording in their respective 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode natively on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and the OnePlus 15. And this is on the 5x2 super telephoto lens on the Samsung. Again, really, really good. And shows why it's an ultra flagship device. We're now recording in their respective ultra steady mode, and that is the action mode on the iPhone, ultra steady on the OnePlus 15, and the super steady mode on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're starting with the ultra wide, and this is at 60 FPS in their respective resolutions, which check in terms of the labeling, and we are going to do an extreme run. Still in their respective ultra steady mode, we've now gone into the 1x. Let's do a run. We're still in the ultra steady mode. We've now gone into the 2x. 2x is where the Galaxy S25 Ultra tops out. Let's do a run. Still in the ultra steady mode. We've now gone 4x on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, 3.5x on the OnePlus 15, 2x max on the S25 Ultra. Quick run, and just a steady walk. Still in the ultra steady mode. We've gone into the 8x mode on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and 7x on the OnePlus 15. We're just going to do a steady walk. Let's see how they perform in terms of stabilizing the footage after the fact. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on a rear camera with me in the frame as the subject, OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Thank goodness we've got a sunny day this time of year. What date is it actually that I'm doing this recording on? For reference, 30th of November 2025, Sunday. Yesterday was pouring, and I'm telling you, this time of year when doing camera comparisons, I'm fighting for my life here, so really appreciate the patience for getting this one out. It gets dark super quick. Right now it's even, what time? It's 14 minutes past 2, so I'm racing against the sun, dipping very quickly, and the weather is just not really nice. So again, let's just see how the image quality is like. Again, with me in the frame as the subject. Let's see. Closer. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and a Galaxy S25 Ultra. We'll switch to their respective ultra wide. So you can see with the iPhone it does have a wider field of view compared to the others. Let's move closer. See there's any focusing issues. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've now gone into the 2x crop mode. This is doing an in-sensor process crop on the main 1x wide sensor. Let's just see how the image quality is like between the frames to subject. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've now gone into their 3x zoom mode. Now this is still doing a crop on the iPhone and the OnePlus. The OnePlus hasn't hit the 3.5x and the iPhone hasn't hit the 4x. Now we're on the 3x and this is a telephoto zoom. And this is on the Samsung. This is using a 10 megapixel 3x. Again, I just hope they get rid of it for the next model, but it's here. It should be performing the best out of the three. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've now gone into the 3.5x zoom mode. This should optically favor what we have on the OnePlus 15, while we're still doing a crop on the main 1x on the iPhone, and we're doing a slight crop on a 3x megapixels on the Samsung. So it's going to be interesting to see the results here. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're now in the 4x zoom mode. Now this is finally and should be optically favouring what we have on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Slight crop on the 3.5x on the OnePlus 15 and a slight crop on the 3x 10 megapixels on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're now in their 5x zoom mode and this should optically be favouring the S25 Ultra. Slight crop on the 3.5x on the OnePlus 15 and a slight crop on the 4x on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Let's see how the image quality is like. We're now recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and a Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've activated their respective video portrait mode. And this is simulating the background blur effect. This is on a 1x sensor. Let's just see how the image quality is like with the real-time background blur. Sounds good, unfortunately. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, the video portrait mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're in the 2x crop mode. Let's just see how the real-time background blur effect and image quality is like across all the devices. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Again, still in video portrait mode. Now, what we've done is we've zoomed into the maximum 3x crop mode on the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Whereas the OnePlus, it should have been updated where the 3.5x should be able to be used with the optical telephoto, which is great to see. I've said this is what needs to be done, and OnePlus have done it. Oppo have done it as well. And this is my biggest frustration with Samsung and the iPhone. They're doing digital crops in the main 1X. You've got dedicated telephotos at 3X, at 5X, and 4X respectively. Just use them for video portrait mode. Why are we still doing a 1X crop? So yeah, this is a much better look than what we're seeing on the OnePlus and the Oppo, and we should be benefiting from it. Yeah. When I record in their respective 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode, and this is natively on the OnePlus 15 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, as stated, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is limited to the maximum resolution of 4K. And this is with me in the frame as the subject. Let's just see how the image quality is like. Look up close. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're now shooting in their log color profile. So this is the logarithmic color profile. This is meant to give the most dynamic range, and then you're meant to color space transform it and grade it after in post. But actually, there's some interesting things here. You can LUT preview this on the OnePlus 15, but you have to go into the Pro video mode. But you can't do the color space transform afterwards. There is an official LUT that you can use. Now, what's great is Samsung does give you the best level of control here. You can actually do the color space transform in the gallery after the fact. It's just so much easier to do. Samsung have really nailed it here. Now, the iPhone, you can't do this. You have to grade it after, and it does do this in ProRes. So there is a lot more storage consideration to take into account. But of course, I think with certain third-party applications you can, but natively within the gallery and the Photos app you can't. But yeah, this is the log profile. And of course, I'm not going to show it in this one, but the Samsung does allow you to shoot 8K 30 in log as well. So that is just super cool. When I'm recording in their 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, quick look before the sun goes down. We're just seeing how the 4K 60 looks with me in the frame as the subject. We're doing it on the 1X. Let's see how the image quality is like. Let's move close. Step back. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've now gone to the ultra wide 0.5, 0.6x respective field of view. We've got a bit of time, the sun's still out, so I thought let's just take these samples in. Let's move a bit closer. Step back. Again, quick fire, we're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode. OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We've done the 2X crop. This is doing a processed in-sensor crop on the main 1X. With me in the frame as the subject, let's just see how the image quality is like. We're still recording in their respective 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. What we've done is we've just skipped the in-between steps. We've gone straight to the maximum telephoto zoom range, which is 3.5x on the OnePlus 15, 4x on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and 5x on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're skipping 3x to the Galaxy S25 Ultra. That particular sensor is just really gorgeous. When I'm recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, we're just seeing how the low light performance is like with me in the frame as the subject. We're just going to stick to the 1X shooting mode because with the ultra wide, it's not really meant for low light performance. Let's just see how the image quality is like. We're still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recording mode on the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. What we've done is switch to their respective video portrait mode. That's cinematic on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and then of course video portrait mode on all of them. It's great to see that they're all recording in 4K 30. This is in low light. Now what we should see is that the iPhone tends to struggle in low light, and it's probably going to be asking for more light, so it might not actually be doing a real-time blur. Samsung tends to do okay here. It can be a bit of a hit and miss, but tends to actually blur the background in low light situations. Again, we're going to see how the OnePlus 15 performs in this particular situation when it comes to low light video portrait mode. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like and the performance overall when it comes to low light video. Let's take a walk. Go ultra wide. Move up to 1x. And 2x. 4x, 3.5x, 3x. Mix in Samsung. Back to 1x. 1x. We're now in their respective video portrait mode for the selfie camera for the OnePlus 15, iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're just seeing which one actually is able to do the real-time blur. Again, with the iPhone, it does seem to struggle. It is requesting for more light. Just going to step underneath the street light and see if it helps it in any capacity. But this is a tough ask on any of these phones. Now that is it with this definitive camera comparison between the OnePlus 15, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I wanted to say a massive thank you for all your support for watching all these in-depth 2025 definitive camera comparisons. It really means a lot. Let's bring on 2026, man. Road to 100k subscribers is back onto the table. Happy New Year to you all, and I will catch you in a new one. Peace.